Hi guys, I am back, and I know you guys are used to seeing my kitchen, but behold my living room. God gave me a different idea today, and so we are going to be doing a reaction video today. I'm going to be reacting to a whistleblower testimony about a thing called Project Looking Glass. And for those of you who do not know what Project Looking Glass is, it is technology that the elites were using to be able to peer into the future. And how they will do this is, see, this machine is hooked up to like this computer that will spit out the probability of certain events happening. And this is what they would call alien or fallen angel technology. And so they brought in this guy high up in the military, but to try to fix the machine. So this is his testimony, and it is very, very interesting. As we are going through it, of course, I will stop and let you guys know my opinion. So if you will just give me a brief moment to get my ducks in a row here as far as this goes, I will bring it up and we will get started.
One of the caveats that I do have some personal information that I did get personally involved in was some information that had to do with the Stargates and Looking Glass, and more specifically the 2012 problem with those projects. I guess, popular opinion of what's out there right now is that the project was shut down because there was a problem when we approached 2012. I've heard it described a number of ways, but to my knowledge, the problem is that the timelines converge on that point in time. And
so if you guys didn't just hear what he said, he just, because of my big mouth, he's saying that in 2012, these two timelines that the machine was getting converge. Okay.
Know enough about the Stargate projects and the Looking Glass project to know that how string theory works and how the possibility of possibilities works, and how making one choice over here doesn't necessarily mean that the other choice couldn't exist at the same time. But once you get your brain wrapped around this subject, you find out that at the end of 2012, in an easy way to put it, the choices that we make become less and less consequential to the future. And eventually we're pushed into this bottleneck of time, no matter which choice we make. And that's important to the people that had access to Looking Glass, because they would use Looking Glass knowing the choices that they would make, and the future would pop up. The big mistake was coming up with the possibility of future. And when we started using a computer to say, well, if we make this choice, it's 79% possible that this scenario happens, and 23% are possible, or whatever, using round numbers, that this scenario would happen. The understanding at the time was that was realistic. However, if you go down the road further and free will continues to exercise itself on this game, that 79% possibility sometimes changes very, very fast. But if you look at the situation in a point of time, it seems very realistic that that's the greatest possibility. What happened was people, very smart people, began to figure out that something big was coming up. Something that made it so all the possibilities of all the future scenarios of any choice, any possibility that was fed in and observed through the looking glass inherently ended up in the same future. And no decision, no possibility changed past a certain point. That's the big secret.
Okay, so is that certain point 2012 in your understanding?
It well coincides with December 21st, 2012.
So at that point, all possibilities lead to the same.
I just found out the other day from somebody that I greatly respect, who actually, once upon a time, was a high-level warlock who became a Christian. His name is John Ramirez, and he was talking about this the other day. I happened to watch a video of his that is like 3 years old, but it popped up for me, and he was talking about the 21st being like some kind of satanic like holiday or something, and it's a really important number to the enemy, to the devil. And so it cracks me up that these timelines converged on December the 21st of 2012. Moving along.
Timelines. All possible timelines lead to the same basic set of history in the future.
And what is that history to you? Did you know that, or did you find that out?
That is the big question. That is the big secret. That is what sends everybody that has all of the information, that knows everything, into a blind panic. The people that know everything about Looking Glass, that have gotten all the reports and all the information, the elites of the world, probably figured out that that was the end of the game, and nothing could be manipulated beyond that point.
Nothing can stop what is
So do you
coming.
think that's held true? In other words, well, I have about 60 questions, but do you think that's true, or holding true, that nothing can be manipulated, that they haven't found a way to manipulate, that's still the case? I mean, this is knowledge that you would have gained back when?
Back when I was in the military, it would have been before 97 when I got in trouble. And it was things that one of my particular areas that I was amazingly intuitive about is problem solving / mission planning, or more specifically, taking a bad mission and fixing it, getting everybody through and out of it.
Troubleshooting an optimum future.
Exactly. Certainly knowing how string theory and possible futures works makes it so you can work your mind very quickly to see the reality of what's happening and decide what decisions need to be made to change it for a particular outcome.
Okay, but at a certain point you said that even the powers that be, so to speak, realized that having even abilities such as yourself, you're talking about, which they, in theory, had even using a computer or a looking glass.
Right, they had to use a computer to do it.
Right, so in essence, but at a certain point, it's still an end game. It's still, they cannot go beyond a certain point.
At a certain point, after they're done hearing the computer tell them, this is what's going to happen, over and over and over and over again, all they become focused on is, how do we fix it?
Why? What is this that's going to happen?
The
you know that?
inevitable contraction of the timelines. The
But what does that mean for this reality? Do you know that?
I don't know that. What I do know is that I was called in and asked to solve this problem, this timeline contraction problem. And I eventually did my due diligence and did all the investigating and basically only had one piece of information, and that was reinforcement. The computer's right. The timelines will contract down to some inevitable thing that you guys won't tell me about, so I can't help you.
But what you're basically, you came back with was, it is inevitable, whatever it is.
There is an inevitable event. It's been forecast, it's been predicted, it's been fed to us in a slop trough of what they want us to believe.
Now, did you just hear that? It's been fed to us in a slop trough of what they want us to believe. And what he's getting ready to talk about up in a few moments is awesome. I'm probably going to pause it again to tell you guys. But yeah, pay attention.
Will happen.
But they don't actually
however,
know.
They don't actually have control over what happens. They only have control over the reaction, and it seems that no matter what they try to do to cause their desired reaction, it's going to have an opposite effect.
Interesting.
Boomerang.
Now, it's much, much easier for me to explain today what that process is as opposed to back then. But if I had to give it a name, I would say it's the awakening process. It's an evolution of consciousness that cannot, will not, and no matter what decisions or possibilities are injected into the equation, eventually it all resolves down to us all learning the truth and becoming aware of this massive dam of lies that has been built that keep us from knowing massive volume of information that we should otherwise possess.
Okay, well that's very, very monumental to be told that from a person in your perspective, who's had your background and your exposure to Looking Glass and possible futures that they do converge. And the notion of, is there anything else that you can tell us, that you would want to tell us about that and the rest of the laundry list of sort of information that you had direct to either for yourself or through someone that you had vetted?
The biggest cherry on top of all this conversation would be a synopsis to say that if I could convince everybody out there that for all intents and purposes, what we believe to be true eventually becomes true. If somebody convinces us that a major disaster is going to happen in the very near future, a major disaster happens in the very near future.
You guys know why that is. Now, there are some out there that think it's because they manifested something. Well, maybe in a sense, but not really. You really didn't do it, see? Like, you'll hear people talking about this all the time. Look at the money I manifested by believing that. Like, no, honey, you didn't manifest that. God blessed you because you had faith. Because faith moves the heart of God. He doesn't need anything from us. All he asks from us is that we have faith. That's what moves the heart of God. And so it's like, when you guys, have you ever noticed, like when you're having a bad day or, you know, like, and we've been so programmed to do this, just to speak death over ourselves and everybody else too. We've just been programmed to like say, you know, let's say, that lady at the bank is always so nasty to me and blah, 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 blah. And she just doesn't like me and this and this and that. And you just go on and on and on about it. And then you wonder why that lady at the bank is nasty to you. Well, you spoke it into existence. I mean, that's a poor example, but you guys have seen that. You've seen when you'll say something negative and then that thing will happen. It's because you had faith in it. So we have got to flip the script and start believing that God does want the best for us. Like, and I am preaching to myself right now because you guys, this last week, oh, my faith was weak. And I was getting hit right and left by the enemy just because I just couldn't pull myself up out of it. I mean, I kept trying to tell myself, you know, you've got to have faith. But I wasn't. It was awful. And I don't know, like, what the deal was, but I want to thank each and every person out there who has been praying for me because I had a breakthrough this morning and it's like I am back. And thank you, Lord Jesus, because I am telling you, it was just like all these bad things kept happening because my faith just, it was in the toilet this last week. But so yeah, faith is a big deal.
If we don't buy into that fear and accept that there is really nothing that we know is going to happen, and accept of whatever happens, that makes the convergence of the timelines happen as naturally as possible. Any attempts to try to go away from this one inevitable conclusion, I again see as a new beginning, an end of this reality, the beginning of something that we can't even possibly understand based on the level of our beliefs currently. But when all that information comes flooding out, there's going to be no denying what's true and what's a lie or what's illusion. We won't have the choice to believe that 9/11 happened because of a bunch of terrorists, because we'll know exactly what's happened. Basically what we're experiencing right now is two master chess players sitting at the board. And one of them looks down at the board and sees that he's in checkmate in 7 moves. And he looks across at his opponent and he knows that his opponent sees it too. So there's no getting out of it. So at this point, the loser can only prolong the game. The game, both players know the game is over. It's only a matter of time before he does this, and then you're forced to do this, and then he's forced to do this, and eventually checkmate. We, as a race, if we could understand that the game is over, that based on the rules of the game, the bad guys have already lost, the good guys have already won. Yes, there's moves left on the table, but those moves are being forced by the player that is going to win. The only way that checkmate can't happen is if the player that's winning makes a mistake. But from all of the information that I've gathered, all of the information that's been given, all of the information that's been vetted to me, it seems pretty obvious that the good guy player on the side of the chessboard knows exactly what has to be done to win the game. And so at this point, any mistake would be all but impossible.
All right. That is where we are going to stop. There are still a few minutes. There's like 10 minutes of this interview left. And so what I will do is I will go ahead and attach it to this video. And so if you guys want to finish it, like, you are more than welcome to. I recommend that you do. It's an excellent, excellent, excellent interview. And man, it just stirs my faith. So I wanted to share that with you guys today and react to it and, you know, get your reaction as well. I may be back a little bit later. I've got a few ideas for videos today. But I hope this one turns out. This is the first time I've ever done a reaction video before, but admittedly, this is like the fourth time I've tried to do this because the first two times, like I didn't do it quite right, and then like the third time my computer died. Just so I'm like, oh, please let this time work. So hopefully it did. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I'm going to get out of here for now. But God bless you. And I will see you in the next video.